Okay. Hi guys, this is Isaias. I'm gonna do a video teaching about the day starting at dawn. This is very important because when you start to understand these things, you'll start to realize that um, some seals are broken inside of you, some seals of understanding are opened now into a new revelation of the Bible. And I'm going to present here a lot of research, well, a little bit of research about the day starting at dawn. I'm going to touch this teaching from an historical point of view. I've done this research during a year and a half, approx. And I want to share this with you guys because this is very important. You're going to understand the Bible in a completely different way once you realize that the day starts at dawn. And first I want to share a little bit of my testimony about this. When I started to observe the commandments like 1 year and a half ago, I started to do the reckoning of the days from sunset to sunset. So it was like kinda normal to me. I was accustomed to it. It was pretty normal for me until I realized to question this understanding, and I started to say, well, what if this is a tradition of men? What if this is just a way of reckoning the day and it's incorrect? So I started to hang out with some guys on Twitter. They started to share some words, some verses with me, some new understanding that I didn't have at that time. So I realized that I was wrong about so many things, and I want to share this reflection with you guys because sometimes we try to understand the Word of God from a very different perspective once we get out of churchianity. So once we enter into this new understanding of the Torah and the commandments, you realize that you have to keep the Sabbath. And the first question that must arise inside of you is, well, how should I observe the Sabbath? Is it from sunset to sunset? Is it from dawn to dawn? And the vast majority of the ministers out there are teaching the reckoning of the day from sunset to sunset. And it's very important, I'm going to say this again, it's very important that you understand these things correctly. We're going to try to understand where this change took place. And I'm going to share with you a lot of historical references. I want to share with you a little bit of biblical references too. But I'm not gonna go through all the references because this will be a very long video. And well, I'm gonna start here. I was saying to you that it was very important to understand these things. Some of my brothers and sisters are witnesses about this, how I started to explode about the understanding of the Bible once you realize that the day starts at dawn. And my prayer and my wish is that you will go through this same experience as me, and I want you to understand the Bible even better than me. That's my goal here. So I'm gonna start to share some references. I'm gonna explain to you if it's necessary. I'm gonna share these references with you after I finish the video. I'm gonna post it on the comments. So I'm going to start here with these references. Some of them are from some Jewish encyclopedias, so you have to understand that even the Jewish people knows that the reckoning of the day was different before the exiles, because after the exiles, the things started to change from a doctrinal point of view. And it was during this period where these changes took place. So I'm going to start with some references here. I don't know if I'm going to read them all because I don't want this video to go very long, but if it's necessary, I'm going to do it. Okay, so first reference, There can be no doubt about that in pre-exilic times, the Israelites reckoned the day from morning to morning. The day began with the dawn and closed with the end of the night following it. Jacob Salel, Lauterbach, Rabbinic Essays. Well, This is the first references. First, I'm gonna share with you the understanding of Genesis 1 because maybe it's the most misunderstood piece of the scriptures, and I'm gonna tell you this explanation. I hope this is clear. You start the day with the dawn, that in Hebrew is called Boker. Then after the Boker comes the portion of light, that is 12 hours. After the 12 hours finish, you have Erev, that is sunset in Hebrew. And after Erev, you have the period of darkness, that it's the 12 hours of darkness, So, I'm gonna tell you this again. You have Boker, the dawn, you have the period of light, you have Erev, that it's the sunset, and you have the period of darkness. So, God created things during the period of light, not during the period of darkness. You have to realize this first difference, because as I said to you before, most of the ministries out there are teaching that the day starts at sunset, and you're gonna realize that this doesn't make sense at all. And some people come to discuss with me these things, and they say, oh, you're wrong because Genesis 1 clearly says that the day is composed by the evening and by the morning. And I say, well, that part of the scripture is talking about just the periods of transition, It's like Erev, I don't know how much it lasts, like 10 minutes, maybe? 10 minutes. The morning the dawn lasts like 10 minutes. So you're saying that the day is composed by 20 minutes in total? Do you realize how this is wrong? And I'm gonna say this again. You have Boker, you have the period of light, you have Erev, and you have the period of darkness. So that's it. I'm gonna keep reading these references. So the second one says, in earlier traditions, and day apparently began at sunrise. Later, its beginning was at sunset, and its end at the following sunset. This system became normative. It was not normative. It was not the normal thing, and is still observed in Jewish tradition. So, what is the opinion of Messiah about the traditions of men? Where, for example, the Sabbath begins on Friday evening at sunset and ends Saturday at sunset. Oxford Companion to the Bible. So these are serious references, guys. I'm gonna share them with you after I finish the video. I'm gonna read the next one. It is also interesting that according to the Karaite historian al-Qirsani, the dissident Meswi al-Okbari broke from traditional rabbinical Judaism in an attempt to get back to the original religion. So the original form of reckoning the days was from dawn to dawn, and began at the reckoning of the day from sunrise. So, well, the Karaites tried to get back to the original form. You have to understand that there are two forms of Judaism. The first one is the biblical one, when you have the reckoning of the day from dawn to dawn, and the second one was imported from Babylon and from traditions of the surrounding cultures around Israel. And well, I'm going to share the next one. Early in the Old Testament period, when Canaan was under Egypt's influence, the day started at sunrise. Later, perhaps under Babylonian influence, the calendar seems to have changed. Oh, that's interesting. Perhaps under Babylonian influence. The day began at moonrise, and a whole day became an evening and a morning. Lion Encyclopedia of the Bible. In order to fix the beginning and ending of the Sabbath day and festivals and to determine the precise hour for certain religious observances, it becomes necessary to know the exact times of the rising and setting of the sun. Well, I'm gonna make a pause here, because some other people have come into my Twitter trying to discuss with me these things, and they say, oh, well, the Passover is from sunset to sunset. And I say, well, okay, that's just an exception to the rule, and I'm gonna share this with you. If the day really starts at sunset, as tradition says, then why the Bible has to bother telling you that that feast starts with the evening, you know? This is not logical, this is not coherent. If the Bible is making that reference to you, it's because there's a different reckoning of the feast. For the rest of the feasts, then you have dawn to dawn reckoning. And just for Yom Kippur and Passover, you have sunset to sunset. So that statement is just to make a difference. Well, I'm gonna keep reading here. According to the strict interpretation of the Mosaic law, every day begins with sunrise and ends with sunset. Jewish encyclopedia. So these guys knows about these things, you know. This is not a big secret here. I'm gonna read the next one. When the Jews returned to Palestine after their Babylonian exile, they brought back with them the Babylonian astronomy and way of reckoning time. Ooh, that's interesting. What is a Jew? That's the name of the book. Among the Greeks, the day was reckoned from sunset to sunset. Well, I'm gonna make another pause here. Wow. Why? Well, because you have to understand that these changes were made and some doctrines were taken outside of the, let's say, Israelite mindset. So they took from the Greeks, they took from the Assyrian culture, they took from the Canaanite rites. Then the next thing you know, it's that you have Christmas, that you have Easter, you have the incorrect way of reckoning of the days, you know. Well, I'm gonna keep reading here. Well, let me try to share another thing with you because it is important about the Greek and the Babylonian reckoning of the months and the time. Because sometimes in other cultures different from the Israelite culture, you have this extra month added to the year. Normally you have 12 months on the year, but on the Jewish tradition you have an extra month, right? Because sometimes you have to compensate the dephasing of the months, because you have a lunar solar calendar there, and you have to add another month, but that's not biblical. And this is there's a very easy way to debunk that extra month, and I'm gonna read it here on Revelation 22. If you want to go with me, it's on verse 2. In the midst of the street of it, on either side of the river, was there the tree of life, which bare 12 manner of fruits, and yielded her fruit every month. So there's not an extra month. And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. This is a very easy way to debunk that extra month from Jewish tradition. And again, guys, this is just a tradition. This is not correct. This is not from the Bible. You're not gonna find an extra month of the Bible, no matter how much you search on all the books. And there's other books where you can take some references from it because they were taken out of the canon somehow by the Jewish tradition, by the rabbis. And those books are Enoch and Jubilees. If you haven't read them, I invite you to read those books, because you're gonna have a better understanding of the reckoning of the time, of the correct reckoning of the time. In fact, I've been trying to do a little bit of research about the calendar. I haven't been able to complete this research, and I need some help from you guys. I'm sure we can do it if God wants. Well, I'm gonna keep reading here. The Israelites, like the Babylonians, counted their days from sunset to sunset. Well, that was after the exiles. The night time is considered as belonging to the preceding period of daylight. From this, there developed the meaning of day in the sense of the cycle made up of one period of daylight and one period of darkness, or according to our modern reckoning, 24 hours. From the natural viewpoint, the 24-hour day begins at sunrise. However, beside this conception, there arose another idea of 24-hour day, according to which this daily period began at sunset. Although the earlier computation did not die out completely, the custom of considering the day as beginning at sunset became general in the later Jewish times. Well, this has to do a lot with the Dead Sea Scrolls, because some group of people from the Jewish community went out to the desert because there was so much apostasy. And you have to understand that when Messiah came to the earth, two calendars were in operation. One calendar from the Jewish tradition, let's call it, the Pharisee calendar, and the correct calendar that was observed by the people on Qumran. So if you don't have a copy of the Dead Sea Scrolls, I really invite you to do a little bit of research about them, because you're gonna have a lot of light there. I'm gonna keep reading here. I hope you guys won't get bored by this, but this is very important. To the light he gives the name day, to the darkness the name night. Thus the work of the first day, reckoned probably from morning to morning, is accomplished. I was saying this to you before. So, the creation was completed in the period of light. God doesn't create things in the period of darkness. You have to understand this too. The period of light is followed by evening and darkness, which comes to an end when the next morning when the second day begins. So the days begin at sunrise. In the Old Testament, the earlier practice seems to have been to consider that the day began in the morning. In Genesis 19:34, for example, the morrow, ASV version of the Bible, or next day, RSV version of the Bible, clearly begins with the morning after the preceding night. Jack Finnegan, The Handbook of Biblical Chronology. Okay, let's check some more references here. Okay, I have a lot of these references, guys, you know. Well, I'm gonna read another interesting one. Listen to this. We know little about the old Israelite calendar apart from the laws of the festivals, but the Mishnah, the collection of Jewish law made at the end of the 2nd century AD, fully describes the system which the Jews had worked out under Babylonian influence. So, guys, is this not a little bit suspicious? We have very little information about the original calendar. This is convenient for who? For what group of people? Do you understand this point? Days were reckoned from morning to morning following the reign of Josiah, and especially after the Babylonian exile, a number of significant and enduring changes occurred in the Israelite calendar, showing that the Jews gradually adopted the Babylonian calendar of the time. The 7-day week persisted despite its failure to divide evenly either the month of the year. The day, however, was counted from evening to evening after the Babylonian fashion. So the actual Jewish calendar it's just a mess for me, you know. God is a God of order, and he's not a God of chaos, you know. The one that wants to create chaos is another one. This is not from God. So why I'm saying this? Because in the traditional Jewish calendar, computed from the algorithms of Hillel II, sometimes you have a, I don't know, let's say 354 days. The next year you're gonna have a different number of days, and the next year you're gonna have a different number, and so on and so on and so on. So this is a mess. Even the duration of the month, the number of days in one month changes from month to month in that calendar. So it's a mess. Something in my spirit told me once, it was like maybe a year ago, that this was not right, and I started this research. Okay, so I'm gonna keep reading from these references. So far as we know, the Babylonian calendar was at all periods truly lunar. The month began with the evening, and the new crescent was for the first time again visible shortly after sunset. So this is okay. This is another interesting reference, and I'm gonna tell you why. So I was telling you that before that God is a God of order, you know, and if He said clearly that the sun is the major luminary, why are we supposed to start the day with the lesser luminary? Does that make sense to you guys? It doesn't make sense to me. Numerous scholars have argued about the existence in Bible times of a sunrise method of day reckoning. The evidence for the sunrise reckoning is significant and can't be ignored. The time of the crucifixion and the resurrection, chapter 5. Okay, let me try to find another interesting thing here. Okay, let me read another reference maybe. Okay, this one is interesting. The first evening was not the gloom, which possibly preceded the full burst of light as it came forth from the primary darkness, and intervened between the darkness and full broad daylight. It was not till after the light had been created and the separation of the light from the darkness had taken place that evening came, and after the evening the morning. It follows from this that the days of creation are not reckoned from evening to evening, but from morning to morning. Commentary on the Old Testament, the first book of Moses. Okay, that one was very interesting. It is impossible to tell, possibly, blah 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 blah. For the lunar calendar, no. Well, about the lunar calendar, I already made some commentaries there. Okay, this one is also interesting. Pay attention here. It was probably coincident with the revision of the festival calendar, which took place in the period after the time of Ezra, after the exiles, and was in all probability the work of the Sopherim and scribe, or of the great synod of the 4th century BC. This may also be inferred from the statement in the Talmud that the men of the great synod instituted the ceremonies of Kiddush and Havdalah, the solemn sanctification of the Sabbath on the Friday Eve, and it is equally solemn ushering out on Saturday Eve. In other words, ceremonies specifically marking the beginning and close of the Sabbath as at sunset. There were ceremonies for the Jewish home instead of the temple. This coupled with the fact that in the second temple the old system of reckoning the day from dawn to dawn continued to be observed, as we have seen, may perhaps indicate that this entire innovation was the work of an anti-priestly group or party in the Great Synod. So there's all children of light. Yes, that's right. So there's this battle of children of light, the guys that had the correct calendar against the children of darkness. The children of darkness obviously were the Pharisees, the Sadducees, all these parties that were against the truth and persecuted and crucified our Messiah for knowing and preaching about these things, you know. Well, let me check another reference, maybe a couple. Okay, a new stage in the investigation of the problem of the calendar of ancient Israel was marked by the appearance of a learned article by E. Koenig in 1906. He maintains that two distinct calendars were current in ancient Israel. So I previously mentioned these things. The first, a solar calendar. This solar calendar was well adapted to the conditions of the simple agricultural life which the Israelites lived during the first period of their sojourn in Israel. It reckoned the day from sunrise. Okay, the second calendar was a lunisolar year. The day now came quite naturally to be reckoned from sunset. Well, this is not natural, obviously. This second calendar was obviously based upon Babylonian models. Babylonian come out of her, my people, and was adopted under direct Babylonian influence at about 600 before Christ, when Babylonian religion and general culture began to affect with steadily increasing force the Jewish exiles in Babylonia, and through those of them who returned from the exile, the Jews who had remained in Israel. And another one, this in turn, together with other important considerations, will point to a time approximately about the beginning of the first half of the 3rd century BC as that of the introduction of the new system of reckoning the day. Supplementary studies in the calendars of ancient Israel. So it could be interesting to get those books to read. There's a lot of more information there. I don't want this video to be very long, but I think you have enough references there. If you guys want to ask for biblical references, if you want me to share with you some verses or chapters, I'm gonna I can do it. I can do that on the comments. If you have questions, you can do them there. And I'm gonna close with this research that I've done. I've not completed it as I said before because I don't have the calendar. We don't have the right calendar. I want to have it, and I will be very happy to have the calendar. I think that is it is very important to have the correct calendar, but we don't have it right now. There are some things that we are to solve, and I want you guys to invite you to research about this lady that is called Rachel Elliott. She has been doing research about the Dead Sea Scrolls. Has a lot of understanding of these things. If you want to research more about her, she has some book on Amazon. I don't have that book right now. I'm waiting for it so I can share more things and more references with you. And well, I hope that you are eager to understand these things. This is very important, as I said before. You're gonna see the Bible in a completely different way, guys, once you understand this. If you don't understand Genesis 1 and 2, you're not gonna understand the rest of the scriptures. And well, I want to close with one of my favorite verses of all the Bible. It's on 2 Peter. Okay, let me search it here. We are to be the children of light. Hey guys, sorry I didn't read your comments. I was so concentrated reading from my research. Well, it's not my research in reality. Other guys have done the research. I just want to join the dots for you guys. Well, 2 Peter 1:19, we have also a more sure word of prophecy, whereunto you do well that ye take heed as unto a light that shineth in a dark place, until the day dawn and the day star arise in your hearts. Okay, guys, I'm very happy to be here sharing these things with you. This is one of my favorite topics in all the Bible. I hope this video can be very useful to you, and I'm very happy to share these things with you guys. Hey Mickey, how are you? Share it with your friends, guys. I hope these things will be understood in a better way. I didn't want to do this video very long. Can you do in? Yes, of course. I have one teaching in Spanish. If you want, we can do one. And well, guys, this is a little bit of my research. I hope that this video is very useful to you. Beautiful. Yes, this is beautiful once you understand these things. This is not the best video because my brothers and sisters have made other videos about this. I'm not going to boast about this because this is from God, guys, you know. We can't understand these things until God says, and it's His will that we understand these things and we grow and understand further into the prophecy. Well, guys, thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here. And well, have a great night, brothers and sisters. Bye. Well, I don't know if you are here, Brother Mark, because I don't know how to export the video for you guys to watch it later. Well, let me check here. Well, I guess I just have to finish it here. Wisdom from him. Yeah, that's right, brother. Okay, let me try something here.